A lot of people just don't spend enough time getting their car ready for the summertime. I wish that they would take some time to just go through it. It's not that hard. At Gears and Tech, we spend a lot of time making videos for people to just learn how to do things themselves and try to save them some money. So I've got a number of tips that I do myself when I'm getting a car ready for the summertime, and I'm going to share those. So I guess we can run through a few things that people need to look out for in their vehicle, getting it ready for summer maintenance. And really, a lot of it boils down to just regular maintenance. But what does regular maintenance even mean? What are you looking for? So there's a few key points that are really important to check out. So first off, the cooling system. The main thing with the coolant system, make sure there's no leaks. Check the level of the coolant. If it's low for whatever reason, you need to understand why. Usually what I like to do is top it up back to the regular level using a mix of antifreeze / water, and it comes pre-mixed from the store. So buy the pre-mix, dump that in until it's at the level, put the cap back on, make sure you do it while it's cold, or you could have really hot coolant splashing in your face, which sucks. I've been there. But then you want to watch it. So drive the car for a week, drive the car for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and see if that coolant level drops. If it's down for any reason, it's time to investigate further. And the best way to investigate any leak is to first wash the engine, make sure that the engine bay is super clean, and then come back a week later and see if you see any new signs of wetness, moisture, whatever. Coolant's usually easy to spot because it's usually green and or pink. So if you see green puddles on the ground, pink puddles on your engine, anywhere, that's a good indicator that there's a coolant leak. The other thing that you might want to check, it's not so important this summertime, especially in the winter, is that it's rated for the temperature where you live. I'm up here in Canada, and we need to make sure that ours is rated for up to minus 40 degrees Celsius. That's freezing cold, but if you don't have the right rated coolant, you could actually cause severe damage to your engine. But even in the summertime, properly rated coolant without any leaks will make sure that you can drive through like Nevada without overheating. So very, very, very important that your coolant is good. While we're talking about fluids, you're checking the coolant anyway. You should also check your oil, your power steering, and your brake fluid. Those are all easy to spot. There's usually an indicator somewhere on the engine that this is where the oil dipstick is, this is where all these things are. Now, all of these fluids are not like gasoline. Gasoline, as long as you have some, you're okay. The fluids need to be at the optimal level. So you don't want to just make sure you have some oil, you need to have the right amount of oil. So as with the coolant, make sure that the oil level is proper and it's topped up and that the oil is clean. Usually I like to start my summer with a fresh oil change. That way I don't have to worry about it for pretty much the whole summertime. Also, your brake fluid, make sure it's not low. If it is low, it doesn't necessarily mean to top it up. You see, the brake fluid will actually go down as the brakes wear down. If your brake fluid is unusually low, it's a good time to check your brake pad life. You can do that by popping the tires off and having a quick look. You should be able to see a healthy amount of brake pad. If you do not, then it's actually time for a brake job. And when you get the brakes done, that fluid level will top itself back up as you push the calipers out. Now I understand this might be a little bit confusing, but do not just keep adding brake fluid to your car. A good indicator that it's time for a brake job is if your emergency brake light stays on your dash, even though the e-brake is off, and or starts to flicker. If it's on permanently or flickering, usually that means you have low brake fluid. Do not just top up the brake fluid, check your brakes. Odds are you have excessive brake pad wear, and it is time to actually change your brake pads and then top up the fluid if needed. Probably won't be needed though. And as with the coolant, if we see abnormal reductions in our fluids, start with an engine clean and then monitor for where that fluid is going. Is it dripping out? Is it burning out? Where are you losing the fluid? And make sure you take care of that before it becomes a major problem. Something else I like to check while I'm under the hood anyway is the belts. Check your Serpentine belt. Is it frayed? Is it cracking? Does it look good? Does it look bad? They're reasonably inexpensive and they can save you a ton of hassle. It's always worthwhile to replace those Serpentine belts, especially if you've had the vehicle a long time and have not changed it to your knowledge. They'll last quite a few years, but it's not expensive to change at home, in your garage, in your driveway. It's very expensive to change if you wait until you're out on the road and all of a sudden this thing's dead because your car will overheat, you'll lose power, the alternator will stop charging, you'll have a ton of problems and it's not fun. Now that we've verified the engine is good, it's time to check those tires out. We already had a quick idea about the brakes just by checking the level of the brake fluid, but you want to look for your tires. So the way that I do that, I turn the wheel and get the tires, especially the front tires, sticking out where I can see the inside of the tire and the outside of the tire. What we're looking for is abnormal wear. Does the inside look worn more than the outside? Does the outside look more worn than the inside? Does the middle look more worn than the rest, or is it pretty even? We want to look for even tire wear. If it's not even, it could be just time to rotate our tires, put the front ones to the back and the back to the front, which is standard regular practice. But if we are observing inner tire wear or outer tire wear, it might be time to check our suspension components. Easiest way to check your suspension components: find a gravel road or an alleyway or a pitted street. Drive slow, somewhere around 10 miles an hour, and listen for clunks and bangs. If you hear a lot of clunks or there's a rattle in the steering wheel and it sounds like something's loose, and it is time to take it to a mechanic to inspect what the problem is. That will lead to alignment issues, which shows up as that tire wear. If the tire wear is in the middle, then it just means you've inflated your tires wrong and it's time to check the inflation on your tires, which is what we're going to do next anyway. So you want to make sure that your tires are holding air and that they are inflated properly. Now, as a standard rule, most people just pick 32 psi. That's what they put their tires at and they're happy. If you want to make sure that they are set properly, check the inside of your door. It will tell you what to inflate your tires to for your specific car. Sometimes you can overinflate slightly to give you a little bit better fuel economy, especially if you're hitting the road, but do that at your own risk. If you're not sure, follow the door plate. If you can't find it on the door plate, 32 psi is the generally accepted number that everybody just sets it to. Next, our battery. So there's a number of ways to check your battery health. There are actual systems that can scan your battery and actually load test it to make sure that it's working properly. Most of us don't have access to that equipment. So the easiest thing to do to check your battery and your charging system is at night, start your car, turn your headlights on, turn your wipers on, turn your rear defroster on, turn your fan on. And while you're doing all that, see if your lights dim at all. If your headlights and or your interior dash lights dim while the wipers are going or while you're turning the defroster on and off, you may have a charging system issue. If the lights stay full power and bright, your charging system's good and your battery is probably good. So that's a good way to decide if you're gonna have any problems down the road. I do have a top secret trick for fixing temporarily an alternator if you are stuck, which is important to bring in your emergency kit that you would take while you're out on the road anyway. And that brings us to the final thing that I like to do, especially in the summer before I get ready for a road trip, and that is to assemble a roadside emergency kit. What should you have in your emergency kit? Well, at a basic level, you should have a tire inflator, you should have some tire goop for punctures, and or a good spare. I like to have a good spare and the tire goop because it's quite helpful. Booster pack is handy and some fluids, especially if you have an older vehicle, some extra oil, some extra coolant, some WD-40 for that top secret alternator trick, and a basic tool kit of some sort. That'll get you pretty much out of a jam as you're on the road. So excellent starting point, and following along with some of the tricks on this channel will help you understand how to use those tools, especially if you just did all of those checks for the summer yourself you'll know what to do with your emergency toolkit. If you're not sure what products to use, I've got lots of links in the description that actually will show you what I personally have to use in my emergency kit on the road. Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end of this video. We hope you enjoy the content in this video, and we'd love to have you come back. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And for those subscribers who are looking for that extra special thing that you can do to support this channel, consider joining our members group. That's where we're building this community, the Gears and Tech community, where we can all enjoy content together. You'll get special perks, which we'd love for you to check out by clicking the link down below. For those of you who are just happy to watch the video, that's okay too. You can check out some of our other content right over here, where we've got some previous videos that have already been uploaded and enjoyed by many of our viewers already. We do hope to see you again. This has been Gears and Tech. Have a great day.